I just finished a video and the thumbnail, and immediately I'm jumping back in. It's like anything in life, if you don't keep up with it, you risk halting the flow. And it's similar to anything, yoga or qigong, any practice. And this is a practice for me. It's an art and is fueled through inspiration. And right now I just looked at a photo. And where the hell is this photo, you might ask? This is the mothership, or the mother church. That's it. I mean, if I asked you, where is the mother church? Church is an important designation. All of these similar structures have been fragmented through history. I mean, the same style buildings that are Capitol domes, even the Vatican in Rome. It's just like a state capitol building, really, with just a bunch of frills. But if I asked you, where is the mother church? You would say, what? The mother what? Oh yes, the mother church. I've talked about it years ago, but at this point, when I come across something again, it's equally as fascinating as it was the first day I saw it. So this is really weird, but it's not weird. But it would be, if you didn't know what we knew. I mean, this thing looks like it's in Europe, and I think initially they took the best of these domed Capitol-style buildings and designated them as government buildings. And in fact, sometimes I think that they drew new boundaries to states and countries based on these buildings. Now, if you have 50 of these buildings scattered across America, more realistically hundreds or even thousands, you're going to have to write a history for these. And an easy one is to make 50 of them state capitals. Again, if you're in another country like Rome, you could get away with anything. It could be the Vatican, as we discussed a minute ago, or it could be anything at all. But in America, with a much tighter timeline, you're going to have to be more careful. So all government functions will take over the best initially. Next will be religious, Catholic Church, all religions. In the case with Utah, I believe religions would even be created to facilitate this rewriting of history. And in the case with this building, it's very similar. A religion would have to be created. And this is one of the weirdest religions. And of course they would get weird. There's another purpose. There's probably many purposes these religions are serving. This one is the Church of Science. Christian Science Church. Really reaching here. I think I read the first chapter of the Science Church's book over 20 years ago now. I didn't like it. I didn't like the author's demeanor. So where are we? We'll get to that in a minute. Thank you for being here this week. I love you all. God bless and welcome. So where in the hell are we? We see this horse and sports wagon really moving at a nice trot, maybe 10 or 15 miles an hour. We see this absolutely beautiful building right here, the over-the-top detail. I mean, why isn't this man's sports model wagon equally as nice as this building? This thing looks like a soapbox derby car. I mean, really as crude as could be. Not even one noteworthy element of beauty point out in this vessel of travel. Here we can see perhaps his daughter, and he really looks astonished at what he's seeing, taking his eyes off the road for a minute, and I would too. This thing is sick. What is this? On the right side here we see what looks like a type of church, but this? Where are we? God, where are we? Is there any clue? This could be anywhere in this time period. Some of you will already know. This is in Boston, America, Massachusetts. One of Boston's largest privately owned spaces accessible to the public. The Mother Church is the centerpiece of the Christian Science Plaza. Christian Science Plaza? Yes. So the First Church of Christ scientist Stupid. I mean, forgive me if this is your religion, but it just seems pretty conflicting. Science and religion all in one. The truth is, this is kind of reality. I mean, most people place more stock in science today than religion. And when you see how oppressive religion has been historically, I don't blame people for moving away from religion. The problem is that science, the replacement, is littered with its own distortions of reality. And now, having lived through these two eras, I actually see more wisdom in all of the religions of the world. More truths left in the texts that were previously misinterpreted and used as tools of control. However, today we, or most of us, are not oppressed by religion, and we can go back and interpret and study these texts for ourselves without the need of a middleman. But that's not my point today. I want to talk about this church. It was completed by some man named Franklin Welsh in 1894, 8 years after the first Christian Science Church of Wisconsin was built, by local women who felt they had been helped by the religion. So here we go. I mean, come on. This is the first Christian Science church built by women, we're told, in 1886, of stone and weatherboard and brick in the Gothic Revival style. Okay, whatever. But I mean, this is fine. This is fine for anything in 1886. But then there were suddenly plans to build a new church. So we go from this baby, this what looks like a modest schoolhouse, to this. Here we go. Hallelujah. In the name of science. Truly blinded by this science. So I'm not sure. They're talking about an extension here to the church, added in 1904 to 1906. They wanted to incorporate Byzantine elements and a neoclassical style. So I'm not sure what is what here. It's the same as any of these narratives were given for beautiful buildings like this in this time period. It looks like here they're telling us the original mother church, so maybe that's the small one, and behind it is the extension. So here we go. I mean, this one looks more like a church, or what we would be told a church is. This thing is massive, so this is church 2, and then church 3 extension. Extension in a totally different style, the neoclassical. I mean, really, Church of Science, go science, really competing with the Vatican, being just as frivolous if we're to believe the narrative. Personally, I don't. But if I did, it's even worse. Here is what you're pissing the church money away on while you fleece the people. It's located in Christian Science Plaza. I mean, it looks like Europe here on the water. On 13 acres. Here we can see the extension, the mere extension of the church. Now again, I don't mean to be disrespectful if this is your church, but this is stupid. But I think it's actually very, very revealing. I mean, this is sloppy. This is where it gets ridiculous. And this is where everything begins to make sense. No churches, temples, mosques, cathedrals, synagogues, and all places of worship were originally what we are told, all having another purpose. I mean, we've seen buildings like this abandoned today looking like they've been sitting there for 400 years. Recently, we will have looked at one boarded up at the Niagara Falls. We were told it was a power station. And here, this mega mother, in their words, church, belongs to the Church of Science. Just joining the club. Everyone joining the club, like a business. And they're all part of the Chamber of Commerce and various societies. Let's look at it from the Google Earth. Here we go, here she is. So again, we can see the original church right here and the extension. So I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I do and I don't. I just don't know what to say. It seems so perfectly obvious to me. And yet I don't want to be insensitive to others' beliefs. Here we can see right next door a library, the Mary Baker Eddy Library. There we go. Go to the library, and it's a Christian Science library founded by Mary Baker Eddy. I should have known. Here we go. Right next door. You can just come here after church Sunday, or is it always church in the science faith? So let's look at something else. The real Church of Science is what we started out the video with, but what is really the Church of Science? I mean, before the now famous Scientology religion. In my opinion, it is the universities. These are the official experts, and science and history is officially recognized to be in their jurisdiction. And I could talk about all the Ivy League universities, but that would be too extensive. I'll just touch on a few. Yale University, founded in 1701. The third oldest institution in the United States. So 1701, we are told, before America is officially America. It says way back in 1701, however organized they could have been, there was an act for liberty to erect a collegiate school. The would-be charter passed during a meeting in New Haven. New Haven is said to have really good pizza baked in coal-fired brick ovens. Here we can see Yale in 1786, and more importantly, the students. Here we go. Excuse me, Robert. Can I trouble you for a sheet of papyrus? I seem to have forgotten my journal. I suppose I could part with one sheet. My father is in the papyrus business, after all. Oh, thank you, Robert. Can I call you Bob? Very well. And there we have it. Yale College and the chapel in 1786. Here we have a depiction in 1807. Just another little part. I mean, of course, universities are like little towns. Dozens, sometimes hundreds of buildings. Here's Old Brick Row in 1807. I love when they slip up. This is kind of a Freudian historical slip. Old Brick Row, one of the new buildings that served as one of 7 Chicago city halls, was called the Old Rook, even when it was new. And here we have something similar. Here is Woosley Hall, or something. Like I said, so many buildings. So here they'll just all be called halls, or whatever terms they use. Here's a look at the campus in 1906, a watercolor. Oh, thank you. And what do we see? Just a little city, like I was saying, a little town. Castles, cathedrals, 1, 2, 3 cathedrals on one block. Unbelievable. If it's not clear, perhaps I'm not doing my job. How about these people down here? Maybe they would help paint a better picture. I can just hear the hooves of the horses clacking down the street, seeming absent of any construction of any kind. Everything just looks done. Beautiful. I would love to live in this little town and even have a horse. But that's not the point. This is a university. That is what we must accept. Here we see a cathedral in the background just popping out of the forest down back here. What is going on back here? Anyway, just a little peek at Yale. Here we see the law building, of course. Like I said, many buildings. So this is not a cathedral. Don't be confused here. No, this is simply a school building. That's all. Nothing to see here. This is just Yale. Not for you or me. So real quick, I've wasted so much time. How about Harvard? Founded in 1636. Even further back. 50 years older. How about a little look in 1767? Ah, yes. Such a elegant time. What a beautiful collegiate experience this must have been. Strolling around with your lover, prancing around on your horse. What an interesting curriculum. A fine school. Before America is even America. Who needs progress at this point? Who needs anything? And again in 1906, a little watercolor. Very thankful for these little watercolor images. And we have a massive cathedral-esque castle in the center, surrounded by a town. That's all. Wireless trams, horse and buggy. This is the beginning? Yes. And like I said, all of these things will be called hulls. And this looks very, very similar to a train station, again in Salt Lake City, and everywhere in the world. Anyway, here we are. Harvard. Really cathedral-like. This could be anything. Train station, cathedral, anything at all. And here it's just a hull. Sorry if you can hear my chickens. Princeton University. First picture of one of the hulls, just one of the hulls. This is the Ola Nasavika, whatever, 1760, Princeton. And here's that hull, here it is. So this baby's been here a long time. Just a hull, a mud-flooded hull. I see they put boards over the windows over on this side. Here is the Princeton University Chapel, finished in 1928, sitting in the center of a courtyard here, little secret chapel. And the Cleveland Tower, part of the Princeton University Graduate College. There we go. I don't know why they needed this tower, or still need this tower. Very important to have a random tower. It's just called the tower, the Cleveland Tower. Okay. And the Firestone Library, the largest of Princeton's many libraries. Really nice tech up here. Let's have a quick peek at the library tower. We could do the same thing with Cambridge here, founded in 1284, looking like some beautiful residence. We could do the same with Oxford. And here I was looking at this engraving earlier of Oxford, and it says an engraving of Christ Church, Oxford, 1742. And finally, I was going to wrap this up with the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian is a very interesting story. It said this man, Mr. Smithson, was to bequeath his land to family upon his death, and if there was no family, it would be inherited by Washington, D.C. And lo and behold, he had no family. And Washington, D.C. is donated through inheritance by default in the will of this Mr. Smithson, and he has terms. And this is the Smithsonian Institute Castle. We see the Capitol, 1865. Here we go. Totally built out, post-cataclysm, trees growing in the road. And this Smithsonian man lays out a type of trust to the government and has terms. And to this day, they still abide to this stupid trust and the terms of it, donating millions to this institute. And this institute, in short, has been responsible for covering up a lot of this story, especially when pertaining to giants and all the remains of giant creatures. And I'm not talking too giant, just 2 or 3 times the size of regular people. And throughout history, we have newspaper articles and stories of discoveries, only to end with the Smithsonian taking possession of these archaeological finds and essentially burying them. When people look through their catalogs, there is no such evidence to be found. And how perfect. The organization that is supposed to be the caretakers or the stewards of these artifacts become the deceivers. So that is way too much for today. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed. I love you all. God bless. And I'll see you next week.